The Boxing PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about. I'm very surgical, lyrical when I'm physical. So bad it now it's medical, some say critical. It's gonna take a miracle, bright lights looking spiritual. Written down like biblical, I finally reached the pinnacle. I'm very surgical, physical when I'm lyrical. So bad it now it's medical, some say critical. It's gonna take a miracle, bright lights looking spiritual. Written down like biblical, I finally reached the pinnacle. And PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about. Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth. The Boxing PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
What's up? This is Sakura A, and this is Boxing PlayHouse After Dark, baby. And tonight, I am super excited. You know what? I can see you, Emilio. I'm super excited tonight because I just got to speak to Amanda Serrano, guys. Yes, here in Orlando for the Box Lab Promotions and MVP, that's Most Valued Promotions, next boxing card that's coming up tomorrow night. That's going to be actually the Most Valuable Prospect 1. I think it's a series about 4 fight cards. And so, you know, basically the first one is going to be right here in Orlando, Florida. I love that. And another thing I'm super excited about is Spence versus Crawford, y'all. Oh my God. Yes, somebody please tell me, like, the hype is real. This is official. We are finally getting this super mega fight. And I'm also excited because I have Heavy Bag Boxing in the house with Javi tonight. He's joining us as well. And I have the legendary Coach Sherman Henson joining us to tell us how it was done in the day when it comes to judges, guys. So you're definitely going to want to hear that because we're talking about Loma versus Haney. Let me go ahead and introduce my panel of guests. We have legendary Coach Sherman Henson. He has coached, you know, people like, I guess you could say, recognize Paul Banky's name? Do you recognize Juan Laporte? Yes, those are just 2 of his fighters that became world champions. So let's go ahead and get him on. Sherman Henson, how can I help you tonight? You're looking very handsome there in DC.
Thank you. I'm
right.
happy to be here.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And now we have Javi, who is actually with my Heavy Bag Boxing family. And he's going to be joining us straight from Orlando, Florida as well. And he's a trainer now. And I also just saw him winning one of his own boxing matches. So he's definitely one to be looking out for in the Orlando, Florida area too. Let's go ahead and welcome my friend, mi amor, Javi. What's up?
My bad. I was on mute. I forgot to unmute it. But thank you for the invite, guys. How y'all doing? I hope we can have some boxing talk. I have a lot to say. I see Coach over there, so there's a lot to learn too. So let's get it on.
Let's go, Javi.
Yes. So you guys, you know what? You tell me which subject you want to start with. Are we going to go with last week's situation, Loma versus Haney, or are we going to go with the breaking news of Spence versus Crawford?
Man, I'll let y'all decide that. You know what? Let's have the coach decide which route we're gonna take. What's the game plan for tonight?
Well, let's go with last week's news, and then we'll come with the new news.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Coach. So last weekend we had Lomachenko versus Devin Haney for all the undisputed belts at 135. And what we saw was, I think, a close fight. Okay. However, personally, when it's a close fight, I start asking myself, who would I rather be? And in that particular fight, I definitely would have rather been Loma, because Loma wasn't hurt not one time, guys, but Haney was hurt several times. Now, we do have the devil's advocate in me who wants to represent Devin Haney's side of you. His fans believe, oh, there was enough body punches that could have made him win some of the swing rounds. And of course, later we'll get into the judges card that had it 116, 112. So guys, I mean, where do you want to start in this? Who won? Let's start with who you thought won the fight.
Take it, Coach.
Okay. To be honest, I originally said it was a 50-50 fight.
Right.
And, I was told that I had to make a choice.
I believe I remember that. I did. We pushed you.
Yeah, so I went with Loma. It was a great fight. And I congratulate both of the guys because they did give it their best. They went out there and gave it their best. You don't blame the fighters for what the judges do or the referee does.
Mm.
So with that being said, when you have the promoters go out, and if you go back and you listen to the commentators, now you have to listen to what the commentators said before the fight started. The commentators mentioned that Top Rank went out and brought in the judges that they wanted. Okay? They also mentioned that Lomachenko did not want a specific judge.
Right. Okay.
Which means that judge should have been taken out, and replaced. Okay? Any judge that a fighter does not want judging their fight, but a world title fight, should be replaced. Now, I'm going to get to a point back in the old days, where judges, when they did world title fights, no one knew who was going to be the judges for the fight, because they had multiple names, they had multiple choices, and they would put the names in a bowl, and they would go in before the fights and pull names out, and they would say that because that way you would not know, that way it would stop the way from being corrupted. Okay.
All right, but what I asked you, who did you think won?
I think Loma won. I think he won, or it could have went one of two ways. It was that close. You either give the fight to Loma, or you give it a draw. Just that simple.
Okay, we're gonna come back through. We're gonna find out who Javi thought won, and then we'll come back through and find out the reasons. Both of their performances.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead.
First things first, I agree with Coach. I think the Loma pretty much won. It was definitely a close fight. There was a bunch of swing rounds that could have gone either way, and I think it was also like a hard fight to judge. I'll give him the judge that. It was kind of hard to judge because there were several rounds where it was that competitive. And, it was boxing IQ and displayed maybe too much to unravel for somebody that's have to pay attention to the scoring, to the action, to all of that stuff. But I think definitely Loma won. He had the more effective aggression, the more, I guess, flush, clean, landed clean shots, and the guy with all the advantages of size, youth, fresh legs, height, reach. He he couldn't use his advantages. He called Loma the old man, and he did not make Loma feel there like an old man. He didn't make Loma look like an old man. So, in a matter of fact, when it came to the championship rounds, it was Loma who started pressing the action. And now you see a lot of people saying, "Oh well, round 12, round 12, round 12." There was 11 other rounds on that fight. It wasn't just round 12. Yes, Loma should have never thought that. He should have never think that. Oh, I got this fight in the back. Let me just cruise. No,
Right.
he should have done anything close like a champ. That was probably his mistake or whatever the game plan was. But at the same time, 116, 112. Come on, like that's like at least make it 115, 113. Be more discreet about it. You know what I'm saying? Like don't be so blatant like that. Like come on now. But at the same time, and Coach can I'm sure he knows this. There's two sides of this. You got the sports side, and then you have the business side. And
Mhm.
it feels like lately the business sides have taken over the sports side, where we pretty much know the business moves that are being made. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. The younger guy always gonna have the benefit of the doubt, the A side, B side, BS, and all that. But you gotta understand at the same time, it's like you're denying somebody an accomplishment, building a legacy that's probably not gonna be able to redo, because this chance don't come around every week. They don't come around a lot. So
Mhm.
things like that, I feel like it should be more. They should be more careful of the officials, the decisions. Vegas even have this rewind, this replay thing. Well, let's use all of that, because a fight of this caliber, it needs everything that can be used to make sure that we get the correct decision, the everything in place. You know what I'm saying? The fighters fight. That's the job. You just fight. You're not judging. You're not scoring. You're not doing all of this. Your job is to get in there and do the best you can. And I feel like both of the guys did that, but one guy edged it out, and he did not get a decision.
Mhm. Go ahead, Sherman.
Now, I agree with everything Javi said, and you spot on. Now, here's the big thing, because it is, and when he said the business side of it all, there was a lot of money bet on this fight.
Right.
There was billions of dollars bet on this fight. Okay,
Yeah.
if now, and most of it was bet on Haney. Haney loses this fight, there's a lot of money that's to be paid out on on Lomachenko. That means a lot of people are going to be hurt.
Well,
And
I mean, I know for a fact that, the earlier in the week, the bets were coming in and they were, landslide for Haney to win. And then later on in the week, it was just as I predicted, where it's a lot of last minute Lomachenko fans voting, betting that he was going to win. And I don't think they might have not been prepared for that in Vegas. But as far as this business versus the sport situation, in order for this business to continue and to have boxing fans that definitely want to pay, definitely want to be engaged, definitely want to support boxers, there has to be accountability inside that ring. Once you get in that ring, that business should not be taking over what occurs on the inside of the ring. Now, devil advocate, everything is not damn corruption now. Like
hey, no,
every fight, every freaking fight where there is decisions that people don't like, okay, they automatically say it's corruption. Is there corruption in boxing? Absolutely. But everything, no, I can't go along with that. You know,
I'm not saying it was corruption.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general, people do that. It's
What
like
I'm
anytime
saying,
decisions don't go the way they want them to, then they automatically want to jump to the conspiracy theories and all this damn like I heard Top Rank wanted to throw the fight because they had just signed Haney. I'm like, well, if they had already signed them, what the hell do they need to throw the fight for? If they already signed them, what are they throwing the fight for? That means that they already got them to do what they want them to do.
True.
So that didn't make sense to me. Then I heard one about, of course, the betting, which to me, you know, follow the money. That seems more like something that could have occurred. Or the third option is Moretti just had a badass night. He didn't see what he had a bad angle of the ring, and he thought things were landing on Lomachenko that he actually was dodging. You know, that also could have came into play. We don't know for sure, but I feel like where it becomes like more of a real situation and not conspiracy is when you have all three judges unanimously believing that Haney won the fight, when we're saying it was close. Like one of them judges, it shouldn't have been unanimous, is what I'm saying. Like all three judges thought Haney won the fight. Now, if it was this close as we as the fans believe it was, and Lomachenko has more CompuBox punches than Haney, how the hell do you get a unanimous decision? At least one of those judges should have had it for Lomachenko. I mean, that's the way I feel. That's what I figure in my head. So tell me what you guys think about that. All three judges.
well, well, in any fight, there's going to be one judge that's going to see it totally different, and that's a fact. If you look at any of the scorecards, you're going to get that one judge that's going to have one scorecard that's going to read totally different from the other two.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. Look at them. Check them out, and you're going to always find that. So Moretti's card is not that bad off. You're always going to get that. And I've been in a lot of fights, and I've seen that with a lot of fights because the angles are totally different. There's always one scorecard different than the other two.
Yeah, but all three of these were the same decision.
Same decision, okay?
Right.
And you'll get the same decision. But what I'm saying is this. My thing is this, is that, you know, I went through the same thing with Paul Behnke and Daniel Zaragoza. I went through the same thing with Paul Behnke and Daniel Zaragoza. One. If you look at that fight, and I asked you, and I asked anyone to look at the Paul Behnke, Daniel Zaragoza fight one. And I said the same thing. And I worked the corner. Paul dropped Zaragoza in the ninth round of a very close fight and still lost.
Wow.
This is what I'm saying about about this fight here. This is what I'm saying about this fight here. Is that when you are fighting, when you got two guys that are fighting of that caliber, with that type of knowledge in the ring, okay? You have these judges have to get to know each fighter. And you had two judges that have watched, that had judged 4 fights of both of these guys. You had two judges that had judged 4 fights of each one of these guys. And how do they come up with the scores that they came up with, knowing each one of these guys and how they fight? How? And how? How do they? You watch 4 fights of anybody, you know how they move, you know how they slip, you know how they counter, you know damn near everything they do. You know how they drink water when they go to the corner. So how did they come up with the scores they came up with? That's my question.
Javi, your take. Judges' scores, unanimous decision.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, my biggest concern is the 116, 112. Just kind of like I said, I feel like this point is like either you're watching the fight, but your mind is preoccupied with something else, or whatever you're watching is not what all of us watch when we watch the fight. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, yeah, I can see there's a lot of it depends on what type of things is the judge looking for that might alter the scores a little bit. But unanimous is kind of like it feels like you can even give the man a chance to claim or demand a rematch because it's a unanimous. See, if it's a split decision, you got some type of leverage to be like, well, it was close. Then you got a split decision. Give me that rematch. But when you make it unanimous, and a lot of fans, fans that I really don't know, or the business part of these promoters and networks, people that sometimes they're in the business but they don't know nothing about the sport. When they look at the unanimous thing, they're probably gonna be like, oh, this makes no sense to do a rematch with this because it's a unanimous decision. Blah blah blah. So you affecting every. You gotta understand.
That's right.
When you said something about the judge having a bad night, right? And it's okay. And any of us can have a bad night. But
I'm just saying sometimes they do have a bad angle. Like if fighters are fighting like over in one specific section and they're like on the opposite end of that.
Yeah, that definitely, because they're right there, right? They right next to ringside. But at the same time, some of them are looking up. You know what I'm saying? So, but my point is, you can have a bad night, and that's okay. It's a human thing to have that. But you gotta understand, your bad night can literally taint somebody's legacy. Your bad night can literally ruin somebody's career, and we've seen it not just now, but in years from now. A perfect example that come in my head right now would be when Meldrick Taylor got that stoppage against Chavez. Imagine if we would have gotten the right decision. Then history would not be how it is now. You know what I'm saying? Or even Triple G versus Canelo won. There's a lot of fights that could have shaped the boxing history in a whole completely different way than the way we see it now. And I feel like a lot of these judges needs to be some way somehow hold accountable for this type of things. You know what I'm saying? If you can suspend a fighter for doing certain things that are not within, the what you're expected as a fighter, then I feel like these officials should also abide by the same rules. You know what I'm saying? You can suspend them. You can take matter in hands and hold them accountable for certain disastrous things that they do. Because again, your bad night, it could be only your bad night, but you can literally just ruin somebody's career. They work their whole life for a night like this. This is not a 6-week camp. This is something that they work for years, their whole life, ever since their first amateur fight, all the way to the championship fights. It's years from the building that gets pinned down because somebody's being, I guess, incompetent with their jobs.
You know something else? Boxers train every day. They train every day to get ready for these fights. These judges, these referees, they don't. They have other jobs that they do. They have other jobs that they do during the week.
Yeah.
The boxers don't. This is what they do. The world, these guys that are world champions and they're fighting for world titles and stuff like that, most of them that are in that that are in that limelight, they're doing full-time training. This is what they do. This is their livelihood, right? And these judges and these referees, this is not their livelihood. This is what they make on this. This is their side jobs. Okay? And they don't realize they don't take it, they don't take this as serious as the fighters take it. And you're right, Harvey. They should be held accountable. Until they start being held accountable and they stop being given that pretty money on that. They make more money, and some of them make more money than they make on their regular job in a month or a year. Some of them do.
All right, let's see what our guest is saying tonight, Sherman.
Go ahead.
We got Ian Schoolboy Garrett. He's that former NBA championship title holder. And he says, one fam. And then we got Carl. Carl says, Haney was countering a lot of these punches from Lomachenko.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Especially to the body. Haney was doing his thing. I won't take away nothing from the man. But I never saw Lomachenko's head snap back, boom, the way I saw Haney. You know what I'm saying? And some of those body shots, they were clean, but Lomachenko kept coming forward, so they didn't have much of an effect. There was a few shots from Lomachenko that Haney said in his own words has no power, that had Haney getting on his bike for, or playing defense after the offense. I feel like if you're gonna, the same rule applies. Yeah, Haney was countering a lot of Lomachenko shots, but so was Loma too. It was a chess match in there, and it was, like I said, I call it boxing porn. It's boxing at its finest, and if to the naked eye, you might miss a lot of things, but there's a little subtle things. There's a lot of things that it might not be visible to the naked eyes. But for people like us that we've been in the game and people really understand and love the sport, you can see that there's a whole lot of levels of the game being played. You know what I'm saying? From the distance, from the reach, from the counter, everything. This guy, it was a beautiful thing. And this is why it makes it more hard to swallow per se, because it was one of those fights that are supposed to be shaping the history of boxing. And it sucks when it has to finish on a sour note because of bad judging, or maybe sometimes the ref, or some petty shit like that. When in reality, it's like, man, this is the fights that the fans won. This is the fights that people claim to be like, no, boxing is dead because we don't get these fights. And then when we finally get it, we screw it up.
You told it there, because it's like, damn, we was waiting for these great matchups to start happening.
Yeah.
Now we started seeing it, and it's stained a little bit because people are upset about the outcome of that fight and also the judges' cards. But I was just gonna say that Haney was countering to the body, but some of them punches, Loma was backing up and kind of scooting, and they weren't landing. You had to be close up on them, and how they showed us the replay right on the screen. We got to see the replay of some of these exchanges, and you could see how many one boxer hit punch wise versus the one body punch that came in. And sometimes it was showing that it really didn't land and Loma had dodged it. So my whole thing is, whether they were countering or going to the body or doing the combinations, one had effective aggression and one did not. We weren't able to see all that was put in the bank. Like, if all those body punches were really hurting Loma, or if they really were landing, he would have been really by the second half, 8th or 9th round, he would have been done.
Slowing down. He'd been slowed down.
He would have slowed down a whole lot. And I just felt I kept seeing Lomachenko just closing the distance, until finally the jab that Devin Haney is known to have, which is so beautiful of a jab, it was ineffective. because Loma was slipping right by, and he was getting close, and he had figured out his Haney's rhythm and his foot movements early. And to me, that's when you consider yourself dominant. You're like you the chess king. But let's go ahead and see what Ian is saying. Schoolboy says the fans seen it and saying something. Run it back or deal with the negative to follow. Honor your craft. Loma did that, and that's facts. So yeah, I have to agree with him. Like it should been an automatic, like, yeah, we need to run this back, especially the way everybody's up in arms and upset about it. And I definitely don't think it's a situation where Haney's team should just, be like, oh, we won and we don't want a rematch. We won decisively. And when they know directly after the fight, their faces didn't look like they knew if they won or not.
I tell you what, I don't think nobody in this world wants a rematch with Lomachenko. And the number one reason for that is because this man has 396 amateur fights with only one fight. And that loss, he avenged it, and he won twice. So anybody that knows this man knows that he just get better, or he figures you out. Sometimes he takes long. I feel like Salido Salido was his first L. He knew that there was no way he was going to win
that fight too. With Salido, he learned a lot in that fight.
Now, Teofimo, right? If we compare Teofimo versus Loma, let's be honest here. Teofimo pretty much took all the first half of the fight. He made it more clear. You don't see nobody saying Loma got robbed or Teofimo got a lucky decision. He got a gift. No. Yeah. The man made it clear. We know who won, and he actually made Lomachenko look like, oh well, damn, he's getting old, or this guy had the perfect plan. He had the good night.
Yeah, he won clearly. It was a clear decision. It was clear that Teo had the better of Lomachenko in that fight.
Definitely.
Gary Russell is another one that didn't want to do a rematch. He had an opportunity to do a rematch when Lomachenko was at a lower weight. And he says, oh, I feel like that's a fight that we need to have like as our last fight. Like my last fight, like before I retire or something. So that's just to be like, oh, I'm about to try to age out Lomachenko, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Russell, I don't know when the last time Russell fought. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like Lomachenko is most likely to give us another tough fight, another peak versus peak fight. Haney probably gonna take a tune-up fight before we actually see him match tough. Where Lomachenko just wants the top guys. He's one of the top guys. That's all he wants. And I think on Haney's side, he's more of like sometimes more business minded. So he's trying to like get paid and then maybe get a tough fight here and there to keep the fans engaged. But it's more for me. Sometimes I feel like their moves are more business minded than legacy building minded. And that's just my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's kind of that's the vibe that I get. And for Haney's dad to say, "Oh, we won that fight clear. There's no rematch." Blah blah blah. Come on, man. Look, it's one thing to like support somebody because this is what I said before. If the shit would have been the other way around, where Haney would have won, but Loma would have got the decision. Even me, myself, as a Lomachenko fan, I'm going to call it how it is. Hey, listen, my guy won and all that, but he got gifted. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to call it what it is. You can't be over here saying corruption, but then when the corruption favors your favorite type of fighter, then it's okay with that. But when corruption doesn't favor your fighter, then you want to call corruption. No, you got to call it a spade. It's a spade, no matter where you call it, no matter which side of the coin you at. You got to call it how it is. So
hey, you talking about me? You talking about me? You calling me a spade?
No. I have heard some crazy stuff online from Black people don't support Black boxers to Americans that are only fans that support foreigners more than they support their own. Like, no, if you're a boxer fan, you're supposed to support the boxers, period. And you're supposed to like go for the boxer that did the superior work. You're not supposed to play favoritisms based on what ethnicity they are, what color, what creed. Come on now. And they're serious when they say this online. They are serious that they think that because you're black, you're supposed to just support blindly black boxers. Like, no, like if we're in a fight, regardless if I supported Haney or not, like if I'm watching a fight and I'm seeing Lomachenko displaying superior boxing, I'm gonna say so. Cause I'm for boxers and their skill and their talent. I am not about like just blindly supporting people just based on their complexion. You know, that ain't cool to me.
Let me say something to all African Americans. I am an African American. I box. I train boxers. And I don't just train African American boxers. I am a boxing trainer. I've been doing it for over 40 years. Okay? I love the sport of boxing. The sport of boxing loves me. Okay? I look at boxing at this way. I don't care who it is, right? When I pick a boxer that I'm going to support, it doesn't matter the color of their skin, their nationality, or whatever. I choose it because I choose that individual because I feel as though that person has the skill to win, the ability to win. I don't choose them because of the color of their skin. I don't choose them because they are black. Okay, get out of that mold. Get out of it. When you choose somebody, you choose them because they have the ability to win and the knowledge of how to fight. I tell that to everyone. I don't care if you're black, white, Hispanic, Chinese, or chicken color. If you're going to choose a boxer, an athlete, or whatever, do not choose them because of the color of their skin. Because if you're doing that, then I consider you to be. We don't put the race, nationality, or whatever is in it. Please don't. I ask you not to do it because of that. I ask you to do it because you love the sport and you love what you're watching. Because these boxers, they love doing what they do. They put their hearts and souls in it. And these guys can be killed in that ring. And they ask you to back them because they love doing what they do. Back them back them because this is what they love doing. Back them for that.
My church fan is saying amen to all of that, Sherman. But we can't see your face now. You done got your face where we can't see you, honey.
Thank you, because I love this. This sport. I'm a part. This sport is a part of me, and I'm a part of it. There's not a person in this sport I don't love or like. I may have disagreements with certain people, but I don't dislike them. I love them all. But understand this. This is a sport that nobody plays in it. This is not basketball, baseball, football, tennis, or whatever, marbles. Boxing, you don't play.
100%.
Okay? Thank you, guys.
I like what you're saying. You're absolutely right. Please do not favor boxers based on their complexion. Just if they got something that for me, it's always like I like boxers that go to the body a lot. I like aggressive boxers. I like boxers that, sometimes they can go in and out of the pocket, just versatile fighters. That makes me decide whether or not I really am in love with a boxer or not. Like that's my cutoff. But we got Carl here. He says, was Haney hurt rounds 10 and 11? His legs looked a little funny.
Yeah, they were. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He got rocked.
That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. That's actually the rounds where I feel like 10, Lomachenko made it really decisive, had him on his bike, and there was a few punches when you can see, it got a reaction out of Haney. That's what Carl means. Then I totally agree. His legs look funny. He's been touched before, so we know how he reacts, and that's exactly what we saw. We did not see that from Lomachenko. Even though I think I was on the 5th or the 6th round where Haney landed a body shot where, it had Lomachenko kind of gluing his forearm on that side of the wrist because he felt a shot, But it's a different thing, you being defensive aware after getting caught, than you backing up and you're funny, your legs do that funny move where everybody be like, oh, there he goes. He got booked a little.
Oh, he's hurt.
Yeah.
Lomachenko's gonna look back at this fight and he's gonna regret that he didn't try to go all in on him, because it did seem like he backed off of him a little bit once he was hurt. We have Ralphie Gonzalez, baby. He says, does out punching other fighters count also in a fight? You're funny because the answer is yes. The judges are supposed to be counting the amount of fights per round, just to make that clear to anybody that's not like super into boxing. Like, I mean, you got to win rounds, and that's won by how many punches, how aggressive, how effective you are at making your opponent bend to your will.
Yeah, but you know what? To Rafi Gonzalez's question, we was actually talking about that in the gym yesterday, because there was rounds where sometimes we heard this phrase before in boxing when it's like, take a punch so you can deliver your punch, and sometimes a fighter can connect with somebody, and if they're not known for power, or if they don't throw it like a hard punch, they might connect, but it has no effect on the fighter, where the other one comes and connect and it has an effect on you. So at that point, does out punching the other fighter counts? Yes, it does. But it's also, in the point system, it's also the clean, effective aggression, meaning the shots that are actually landing flush and getting a reaction of the fighter. Shots that are landing or barely landing with no reaction, I feel like they get outrighted by, the shots that actually get landed with effective aggression.
In the pros, you can land punches, but you said it with the effective blows, because a lot of people think like, I can hit you with punches, but they're not effective punches. The judges may not count those, even though the copy box might count them, but they're not effective punches that may make you buckle or see a head snap or something like that, where it may hurt them, right? They may not count those, because then they look at them as if they're just amateur punches, right? But something I did see a lot of from both of them, but more from Lomachenko, was when he was punching, he would use angles. He was using a lot of angles, and that's where he was catching Haney with. He was punching and changing angles on Haney and catching, and he was sitting on Haney's right hand. He would change angles and move right on Haney's right hand, not to his left hand, but to his right hand, and drop his left hand right over top of Haney's right hand, and shoot the uppercut. That's what a lot of people don't understand when you're fighting southpaws. I'm a natural southpaw. I've been teaching that to all my fighters, especially southpaws, right? And I watched it and I admired it from one, and I say that to them all. That's what you watch, and that's what Lomachenko was doing, and he was getting away from it. And that body shot that he would throw would go right by him. And Lomachenko was doing a lot of that. Another thing is this: when you watch Haney go into the corner, and him and his dad get to arguing, right? And his dad is telling him, "You're winning." I've never seen Haney's dad have to tell him that he's winning. I've never had to see him. His dad
You
telling
think it's a tactic? It's not really that he was winning, but he was just telling Haney what it was gonna take to keep him going.
he had to mentally build him up to let him know that to keep him going because Devin was losing it mentally. He had to build him up mentally to keep him in the fight because he was losing it.
That's deep right there, Sherman. Now that's deep. I mean, you've had to do that in a fight with somebody.
Well, me, yeah, I've had to do it too, right? When Devin comes over in the corner and he's talking and he's telling him, well, he's doing that, he's doing, and his dad has to say, hey, stop, I got you, you're winning the fight. To stop him.
Let's see what the next viewer is saying there. And he's saying, Carl says, let's see, Loma blocked quite a few of those body shots with his elbows too.
That's right.
That's
right. Okay.
Jason, my man from Plant City Boxing. Oh my God, Jason, I love this guy. He's amazing. He's always being so supportive. And it's not enough of that going on right now. So I want to thank Jason for always popping in, even if it's just for a few minutes and leaving a comment. And especially when it's a comment about me. Sakura, your hair looks good. Oh, thank you so much, darling. I appreciate you, Jason. Thank you. And then we got Hall of Famer, Florida Boxing Hall of Famer, and former contender, let's see, Danny Santiago. He says it was a close fight, but close rounds, goes to the house, goes to the champ. A rematch wouldn't be unreasonable.
That's right.
Great for their bank accounts and great for clarity if it goes as we would like it to be. All right. So rematch. Does everybody in here agree that there actually should be a rematch?
Yes, we do.
100%. I think everybody agrees there should be a rematch except for Haney and his dad. Everybody wants a rematch. You know what? I agree with Danny Santiago. Even though it might when he says close rounds, goes to the house, goes to the champ. Well, yeah, Vegas is Haney's hometown. He's the A side, so yeah, definitely. That's the business part of the sport. That even though we don't want to accept, we have to accept it. That's how it is. That's how it goes. Plus, he's a younger guy, and there's probably more possibility to make money than the guy that's already on his way out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know where those belts are gonna go after he retire. Instead of keeping it in house, because now Haney's with Top Rank, and Haney can fight Shakur, and Haney can, they can keep it in house. Business side of it.
Yeah. All right, Schoolboy. He says he knows Haney now, and Haney knows who won. Us. Okay, so he's like, we all know who won. Haney knows who really won too. I have to agree with that. I don't think that Haney thinks that he really won that fight. I could tell by his body language and his facial expressions after that 12th round bell run. Let's see. Rome, K. Sanders. All right. Emilio's cousin. He says, Loma, that dude, I want to see him and Tank next. Oh, that is another thing that's happened. Instead of people wanting to see Haney versus Tank, because of this fight, people are now like, nah, I think Loma versus Tank would be more entertaining, more competitive than a Haney versus Tank. And you know what? Rome, I have to totally agree with you. I would much rather see Lomachenko in there with Davis than I would Davis versus Haney. But you got Tank chomping at the bits, Shakur chomping at the bits. Anybody else at 135 is like, I can get them belts now. Like, because Lomachenko done showed a kind of blueprint on what you do with someone who has such a great stance and such a great jab, and likes to box. Although Haney did try to show us a different look in this fight, for sure, guys. He wasn't all about boxing now. He was doing some traditional 1-2s, and he was going to the body way more. So he tried to mix it up and not be like he was with Kambosos, you know, more strategic and more like, you know, just boxer mode. But this fight, he did give us some more looks. And we got Ralphie. He's saying, let's see. This Haney versus Loma make me remember Castillo versus Mayweather. In the first fight, even to the point, people still argue on both sides who should won. That's a great example. That is definitely one of them where it's like, I don't know. Okay, Ian says fighters support fighters. They should. They shouldn't be worried about what color they are. And he says, and you see something in that individual, right? It's something about that. Support all boxers, no debate. All these boxers put their lives in the ring to sacrifice to entertain us. No doubt, 100%. And then we got Kathy. She says, hey, Sakura, great job, my friend. Oh, thanks, Kathy. I appreciate you. And then Ian says, if you love what you have done for boxing, love what you teach. Okay, there you go. And then we got Shauna Wright. All right, Shauna, what's up? Boxing PlayHouse and Love from Cleveland, Ohio. Ohio, that's a fight state. That is definitely one of the great fight states, right, Sherman?
That's right, it is.
Danny Santiago says, if it makes money, it makes sense. Damn it. Okay. All right. And then we got Carl. He says, unfortunately, I think we've seen the best from both fighters. A rematch would be as boring as Haney versus Kambosos too. I don't know, because I think there's still some more tricks that both of these guys can do, don't you guys?
I think you know, because you know what? Because Lomachenko would be out to show that he deserved that win. And when you get a guy like Lomachenko who feels that something was taken away from him, he's going to come out and he's going to prove to everyone that he deserved that win. And that's the type of guy Lomachenko is.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So I don't see a rematch being boring. That's another thing I've had a problem with this generation of boxers is that there are no rematches. There are no rematches because they feel that they're one and done. Okay? Especially
they're like, I got through you, I ain't looking back. Like, I'm going forward.
I understand, like, especially when it's when it's something as controversial as this, right? When there's something as controversial as this, you know what? You know what I say? You know what? If you feel like you feel like I didn't win this, you know what? Let's do this again.
Yeah, when you feel like you better than me and you won, like, then it should be no problem for you to do it again.
Because guess what? I know me. I've always, matter of fact, when I was boxing, I had that problem. Dude told me, he said, oh, I made a mistake and that's why I lost. I said, okay, we can do a rematch. I told him that. I said, he said I made mistakes, that's why I lost. I said, okay, we do a rematch. Next time we fight, I knocked his ass out. We don't have to worry about doing a rematch now. Now we don't have to worry about doing a rematch now. Okay, there's no trilogy.
There's no trilogy. All right. Let's go with Javi.
When he took that rematch.
What you say?
He said he was complaining that he made mistakes on the first fight, but then he made another mistake by taking the rematch because he got knocked out.
Yeah, he got knocked the hell out. Okay.
Nah, but I agree with Coach. I feel like definitely. I feel like just like sometimes when the Tank versus Ryan that had a rematch clause, even though it only favored one side, I feel like it should be in the contract and it should be part of the whole noting there, like, hey, if the fight is controversial, then immediate rematch, either side. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of these guys, first of all, they don't want to take these fights, so they kind of forced to take these fights. When they take it, if they don't look good against, then they don't want to go back to it because I don't know if it's a matter of not believing in themselves, or they feel like, okay, I'm already done with that chapter. I got to move on to the next. But at the same time, it's like, if you're here just straight up making money moves, then of course everything that you do is gonna be money minded. So you're not gonna care if you look good, if you look bad, you're just trying to make money. But if you really care for the sport and your legacy, then you want to go back and amend those errors or make things more clear. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what makes the difference between some good fighters and great fighters. The good fighters, they get content with with like the minimum, but the great fighters are the ones that they go back to those rematch. They look for those those type of fights that are going to challenge it, that are really 50-50, and that either listen. I think a lot of this generation they're so caught up in losing, they don't want to lose. But hey, even the greats lost, and when they lost to the better man, and they gave the best effort. People are going to respect you for that. If you lose and you put your 100%, that's okay. You lost to the better man. You know what I'm saying? It's not the end of your career. It's not like, okay, well, once your zero is taken away, you're done. No, like I feel like that kind of has crept its way into boxing, and it has prevented us from seeing a lot of good matches because of that. Now, I don't want to jump the gun, but with the whole thing that we're talking about, judges, Vegas, bad decisions, and all this stuff, we have a mega fight coming up. Hopefully, I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully, I'm not on wood, by the way.
That nobody gets injured. Okay.
Yeah. Either that, or when actually we get what we want to get, then another bad night for the judge or the ref or an official or blah blah blah, and another low blow to boxing, because that's what it is. Every time you see a ref, a judge, or any type of official not doing the job the way they're supposed to do, it's literally a low blow to the sport.
All right, let's keep going now. Let's go to Danny. He says, you know who won? Everyone around the world is still talking about this fight. Controversy sells. And then he says, if Haney pops don't want a rematch, if Haney's pop doesn't want a rematch, he is saying no to that serious rematch money, which is always a load more. So, yeah, that's what I feel. I feel like a rematch would make even more money. So it's like not a legitimate excuse to say, oh, we want to go for more money fights, because that rematch makes a whole lot of damn money too. Yeah. And Brad Jones says, PlayHouse, I'm just happy about Crawford and Spence. Absolutely.
So we are.
We're going to be talking about that soon. Just as soon as I can get through. There's a lot of comments about this Lomachenko fight, guys. Well, let's see. Shakur will be last man standing.
100%.
That's true.
100.
Danny says everyone nowadays is afraid of losing that.
100%.
And Nina, she says, tuning in from San Francisco. Do you all think boxing is the new WWE?
Hopefully not.
Little Boosie was on there, and he was complaining about the fight, and he was saying like this. It looks like everything is WWE now. Like everything is wrestling. Like, well, as he said, wrestling. Everything is wrestling. So you don't want people that don't even really never comment on boxing. Now you got all these celebrities that were commenting on this particular fight, yo. It just goes to show that a lot of people are in their closets watching boxing when they say they not. I don't want to watch that fight. I'm not paying pay-per-view, and they're in that closet watching, right? Try with the door a little creaked open. But let's see. Ralphie says to everyone, so what's the next fight in the division? Everyone wants to see personally. Me, I got Loma versus Shakur or Cruz versus Haney. I would love to see that next if the rematch don't happen. So he's saying Shakur Lomachenko versus Shakur next,
Mm,
or Haney versus Cruz are two
mm,
fights that he wouldn't mind seeing next in that lightweight division.
mm,
Um, mm.
mm.
For
Those two
me,
good
I
fights.
definitely want them to run it back, but I would love to see Shakur and Tank, man. Shakur and Tank for
Definitely.
everything. For your life, damn it. It's Shakur versus Tank. That is the ultimate fight at lightweight to me.
Yeah.
You guys go ahead. Tell me your pick.
You go first.
If we're talking rematch, I would kind of would like to see the Cruz versus Tank #2. You know, that'd be a nice rematch to watch. That was very competitive. I would like to also see Loma get that rematch versus Teofimo because he was coming up those last rounds. You know, and yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I feel like at the end of the day, Shakur will edge all of them. Shakur will outbox all of them, probably, say make it really decisive and expose most of them.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. I think he's going to be dominant in there. But by the way, Cruz has just been, there's been an announcement that he will be on that Errol Spence versus Crawford card as the co-main event. But they didn't say who he's going to actually be fighting. I hope they are going to give us a full card of talent. That's what I'm hoping. And I'm hoping that, the whole card looks good. Like, because it ain't enough for me to just see Cruz. I want to see him in there with somebody that's, good. So I'm hoping that, it's just not a bunch of names and then it's them fighting like, lesser opponents. I want it to be like competitive. So that's something good that we at least do know we're going to see Cruz on that. Now, Sherman, you tell us who you would like to see next.
I like to see 4 rematches.
4? What rematches you talking about?
I want to see. I want to see the Tank Davis Cruz rematch.
Yes,
Okay, 1.
Okay. Well, it would probably be 3. I want to see the Haney. I want to see the Haney and Lomachenko rematch,
definitely.
2.
and the Cruz what you call them rematch.
Cruz versus Tank.
No, well, I already said the Cruz Tank rematch.
Oh, well, who are you saying?
Um, somebody else. There's another rematch I want to see
At lightweight.
at lightweight.
Oh, well, Javi said Lomachenko versus Teofimo. But
Telefimo.
yeah,
Telefimo.
but
That's the one.
Teofimo is now at 140, and I don't know.
He's not
Know
coming
that.
down.
You
He's
know,
not coming down.
he might
Telefimo.
not. He ain't gonna be able to come down. But I mean, look how big Haney was in there with Lomachenko. He
I
was
know.
every bit a welterweight that night. So there's no reason why Lomachenko would be scared of Teofimo either. But
No.
only because he does have power, and that's what made him stay back from him in the beginning rounds of their fight.
Right.
So. But let's see what Danny is saying here. Danny says, like Mike said in his days, fighters were straight killers, and nowadays fighters are boardroom boxers. Yeah.
Hey, 100%. I mean,
100%.
Mike Tyson did say that. He said, back in my days, these guys were
Mhm.
real killers. Nowadays, these guys are businessmen because they're always talking about, oh no, the A side, B side, your side of the
Yeah.
street, my side of the avenue,
Oh, I hate
all
when
of this
they
stuff.
say that. Like you're on the wrong side. I hate when they say that. I'm
That's
just
the
like
whole,
any fight can be
it
made.
feels like two lawyers going back and forth, and it's like, bro, you lawyering or you're fighting? Which one is it?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
And
like
you
what
know
are you
what?
trying to tell us?
Eh, eh, Correct. You know what they've done? They've taken away boxing into society. Nobody wants to lose their own. It's just the way it is in society. Nobody wants to lose their
Why?
own.
I don't understand why that is. You got one fighter that made his career 50-0, Mayweather. Nobody does it like him. He is one of the best overall fighters, period. Definitely of his generation.
Yeah.
But you got one fighter that did it that way. And then you got a multitude of fighters that are legends now, that have losses, and nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares that Ali got losses. Nobody cares that Roberto Duran got losses. Nobody cares that Sugar Ray has a loss. Like, nobody gives a damn. They just like, these are our icons. These are our legends. And don't even get into Sugar Ray Robinson. I mean, they have been losses too. These people are like in history, not because they lost a fight. They're in there because they dared to be great and they fought everybody. And they dominated most of the time. Yo, you got a loss here or there, but that didn't make the whole career.
Hey,
I mean, why would you want to try to follow just one boxer's path, which is like a unicorn, when you got all these other boxers showing you, hey, you can take a loss. That ain't the end of anything.
let me explain something about my method and the way I train. I do not train anyone to fight like Floyd Mayweather. I train not.
No shoulder roll, then. You're not
anyone that comes to my gym talking about shoulder rolling, I kick their ass out. You come in my gym and you want to do a damn shoulder roll, I tell you to roll your ass right on out the door. Because guess what? A shoulder roll will get your ass put to sleep. Okay, because there are very few people that know how to use them. But I can teach you how to knock someone out doing the shoulder roll. I can tell you how to do that. I can teach you how to do that. But guess what? When you learn how to fight like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, okay? When you learn how to fight like any of Juan Laporte, when you learn how to fight like one of those greats, and you can put all of what they do together and make it a wonderful stew. Guess what?
Right.
It makes it hard for someone to beat you. But when you take that one style of that shoulder rolling on, because that's what a lot of people try to do. Take that one style of shoulder rolling and they try to fight a whole fight like that.
You know what?
I
have seen that, and it's horrible most of the times.
You can't do it. The shoulder roll is not meant to fight a whole fight like that. And
that's what. Never saw Mayweather do the shoulder roll the entire fight either. So I don't know where that came from.
Hello? Let's talk about it.
All right, we're going to go ahead and change subjects now because, yes, it is finally time to talk about this fight, baby. It is Spence versus Crawford for all the marbles, undisputed, July 29th, and it's going to be at the T-Mobile in Las Vegas again. That is going to be one of the fights of the decade with this generation. Who you got? Let's go ahead and just, fill out where our panel is at right now. Who do you got in this fight, Coach Sherman?
I'm going with Crawford. Crawford's a boxer. Crawford is a mover. And the thing about it is, he can switch from southpaw to right-handed. And another thing is, he got power. He got power, and he's a very, very smart fighter. He's a chess master in the ring. And Earl hasn't fought a chess master. He hasn't fought someone that can move and as graceful as Crawford. He hasn't fought someone with that speed and counterpunching as Crawford. Mm-hmm. And someone that knows what to do in certain situations as Crawford. Okay? And the thing about it, Earl's not going to be able to walk Crawford down. The thing about Crawford will come to Earl. And when he comes to Earl, he will use some angles. And he will not stand there and take punches that he don't have to take, like other people have. He will not be afraid to pull the trigger when need be. Okay? That's the difference in Crawford and not all the rest of them that have fought him. And there is where you have a master boxer. There's a difference between just a boxer and a master boxer and a person that knows the ring. You got to know how to use the ring to your advantage.
Right.
And Crawford knows how to use the ring to his advantage, and that's what it's all about. He has two. He has two very good. I mean, when I say Hall of Famer, he has two Hall of Fame trainers in his corner, and that's one hell of a team. And I give them the highest recommendation because that's what they are. You know, when you got a team like he has, it's awesome. It's awesome.
All
And
right, let's
that's
go ahead and read a comment. Danny says, Floyd, Roy, Tyson, and even guys like Prince Nassim were copycats. Are never ever better than the originals. Never better than the original. That's true. And Danny says, my heart is with Bud, but Spence, woo! Although I don't know how Spence recovered from that accident. And then Carl, he says, this is the fight that you have to watch. I don't think you can predict this fight. Neither fighter has fought someone that is as equal to the other. All right, I agree with all that. I like all their statements. Javi, who you got?
Uh, this is a 50-50 fight, 100%. This is the fights that keep the sport alive. This is the fights that hopefully don't get tainted. But I'm gonna have to go with Crawford. I feel like definitely. I think he has.
I'm kind of shocked. I have to say, I'm kind of shocked. I just knew you was going for Spence because I know you're a big Spence fan.
I am, and this is what makes it hard to pick one guy. But I have to go for Crawford because the boxing IQ of this man is really impressive. And he does one thing that makes the difference between a good fighter and a great fighter, and that's adjusting as he goes. Because you can come up with a game plan A, game plan B, and C, but you don't know what the other guy is gonna bring. And then the guy that's can make the proper adjustments as it goes, as the rounds goes. That's the one guy has the boxing IQ. That's what Crawford always showed. He's been touched. Yeah, he's been probably not. He haven't had that level of competition as far as Spence with all the high profile names, but if you see his boxing IQ, this man always make the proper adjustments and then go to work after that. And then you see a boxing display of boxing. It's just a beautiful display of the sweet science. I have to go with that.
Okay, so I guess I'm going to. Oh, go ahead, Sherman. You can go.
and another reason I'm going with Spence. I've been across the corner from Crawford.
Wait a minute. You said
no. Let me back up. Let me back up. Another reason, whoa,
don't try me. Don't try me.
Don't try me like that. Another reason I'm going with Crawford is because I've been across the corner from Spence. I've had a fighter fight Spence.
Okay.
Before, so I've been across the corner from Spence, and I've seen
the amateurs.
Yeah, I've seen Spence, and I've seen a lot of things about Spence, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing from Spence, it hasn't changed. So what I'm seeing, and the people that he has fought, they are just standing there in front of him. So I can break it down, and I will break it down when you and I sit down and talk. I will break it down to you why I'm going with Crawford. Because
all right, I get it, Sherman. I understand, Coach. Danny says if Coach Sherman Henson doesn't get into the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame class of 2020, well, it would be 2024 induction weekend soon, I'll give him my ring. Got guys getting in ahead of him, and Sherman Henson is the real deal. TNK Boxing Promotions. All right, like Sherman Henson is the real deal. We all know it. I've confirmed it. I did the research. I built the resume. I talked on the phone with him for hours, and damn it, he's the truth. From being a boxer in the Army to going to Germany, knocking out his opponent in a rematch. and for coming back here working for boxers that became world champions like Paul Banky and Juan Laporte, coming to Tampa, Florida, and then fighting the likes of Antonio Tarver Jr. now, and Javon Johnson now. He is always been about boxing. That is when a career, your life is dedicated to the sport. That is when you deserve a Hall of Fame ring, baby. So yes, we're gonna have to start this petition, Danny, because we gotta make sure this definitely happens next year for sure. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Because I know it's all. I did the research. I dug in the Googles. I did all of that, trying to make sure the dates worked and everything. Now, Rome, this will be a trilogy. Yep, I believe that because there's so much money involved. Like if one wins one, it'll be similar to Wilder Fury. And Danny says facts. Sherman Henson. And I'm leading the crew. And then Carl says, Crawford has never fought someone like Spence who gets better in the later rounds. Okay. Let me just say I'm with Carl when it comes to the fact that it is kind of difficult to choose one boxer over the other. One, Spence, he does have some names on his record. Two, not due to any issues, but not due to anything Crawford did. He doesn't have bigger names on his resume. But when you look at the, totality of both of their opponents, none of them have been as good as they actually are. And for that reason, I feel like Spence hasn't been able to really show the best of him. Just because you're not fighting competition that will bring that out of you, that side out of you, doesn't mean that you don't have it. Let's not forget, we're talking about a former Olympian. We're talking about somebody who was there multiple years. We're talking about somebody that came to Floyd Mayweather's gym and caused some ruckus and was asked to leave. We're talking about somebody who has fought Kell Brook, who to me is very underrated. Not when Bud Spence fought him. Now, that was after the Canelo fight. Or no, who did he fight? Triple G?
Triple G.
Yeah, after the Triple G fight, that's a different Brook. But that Brook that was in there with Sean Porter, that Brook is very skilled, very talented, and knows some boxing skills. So we're talking about Errol going over to his country, standing on his ground, and he was able to get the victory out of a UK stateside fight. Okay, that's number one. You got to look at things like that. Then you got Crawford. Okay, Crawford is training. Who have we been talking about? Crawford trains with the likes of Shakur Stevenson. Okay, who we're saying is gonna be ending up the dominant player at 135. So it's like, there's something there. Yeah, he hasn't been able to fight to that level. Okay. The main fight that I look at between the two of them is Sean Porter. They both fought Sean Porter. They both had hellified fights up until the stoppages. Well, actually, there was no stoppage in Errol Spence's fight with Porter. But what I'm saying is it was very competitive in both of them, those fights. Buzz as well as his. Up until Buzz said, it's not so competitive, right? So if you take that fight, the only reason I literally really believe that Sean Porter won that fight against Errol Spence, guys. I have always said this. And the reason he did not get the decision is because he almost dropped when Spence punched him in the 11th round. He did not actually touch, his gloves never touched the ground, but his legs did give away and he caught himself. And before that happened, what was Porter doing? Porter was dominating the entire first half of that fight, the entire first half, and was looking good, and it was being more competitive in the later rounds until the 11th round when he almost dropped. Then they had the 12th round, finished the fight, and the judges was like, okay, we need Spence to keep these belts because we want him to fight Crawford, right? That's what I feel like happened. But I don't know for sure. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just playing a little devil's advocate. I feel like Spence, I feel like Porter won that fight. But then when you take Porter and you put him in the Bud fight, the superior boxing came into play, and he allowed Sean to play around and toy with him until Bud was like, yeah, I'm finna turn it on now because you're saying I'm losing this fight, right? He went to the corner and they were like, you losing this fight. And he was like, what? Oh, no, I can't have this. And then had the fight stopped, y'all. He stopped the fight. Got Porter so aggravated, his dad threw in the towel. So that tells you that there's a more superior boxer there who can perform under pressure. So for that reason, I think that I will go. That's right. Yes. The entire panel agrees. We all are going with Bud Crawford for the win. Will it be easy? Hell to the no. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a war in there, and we're all ready for it. We're all waiting for it. And if we actually get a KO, then damn it, bring it on too. I don't know if it's Bud or it's Errol, but either way, we are in for a super mega fight come July 29th. I mean, I'm so ready. I'm hyped about this. And I'm so glad that we got the confirmation that these contracts were actually signed. And this is a real bona fide fight night we're going to have. I mean, wow. What an accomplishment. All right, so it is kind of getting late here. Sherman, you know, we got the fights here in Orlando tomorrow night with the most valuable promotions in Box Lab. They are doing a, you know, series in which they'll be looking for the most valuable prospects. And I love my prospects. So naturally, I'm definitely excited about being here tomorrow for the actual fights. I was able to see Amanda Serrano today, so I'm super happy about seeing the ladies in the house. I'm pretty sure this fight is going to have some heavy hitters in the house tomorrow night. It's going to be a great time. And then, of course, after that, you know what time it is? It's time for the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame weekend, baby. And that's June 30th to July 2nd. That's right. Fireworks, baby. It's the 4th of July weekend. And we're going to be celebrating all these inductees and Hall of Famers as they come together to show, praise, and give these wonderful, amazing inductees their accolades while they're living. That is going to be at Hilton Caroline in St. Petersburg, Florida. You can go to the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame.com for your tickets for the dinner gala, the expo, and for the actual induction ceremonies on that Sunday. And then you can go, and you also can get your hotel room as well as with the group rate there too. And you can go to TNK-pro.com for your tickets for the fight night, which is June 30th, brought to you by TNK Boxing Promotions. And headlining that card, we just found out last week, is going to be MRJ, baby. Mark Reyes Jr. is back in action as the main event on the June 30th card. Sherman, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, so that's going to be amazing. And don't forget Claressa Shields versus, she had a new opponent, actually, guys. Hannah Gabriel has been removed from the fight card. And now we have, let's see what this particular, she is number 2 in the rankings in this division, Sherman. It's Shields versus Cornejo. She's a beautiful woman too. Like, she's a sexy woman now. So all the men, you definitely need to tune in June 3rd for her fight. Claressa Shields versus Cornejo. And you can also definitely support women's boxing. Women, it can't be all on the men. We need some ladies supporting ladies in the boxing game. So make sure all of you tune in. She's going to be in Detroit for her fight, which is amazing. And then Alicia Baumgartner, she's going to come in, and she's got a fight scheduled for Detroit as well in her hometown. So that's going to be pretty amazing too.
Yeah,
We'll talk about more of that in the future. Guys, Sherman, Javi, we want to thank both of you for coming on the show tonight, as well as our tuned in guest, Danny Santiago, which you can see him on Wednesday nights on Latin America Boxing. And then podcast. And then you can also see us on Thursday nights. Next week, we've got one of the inductees, Sherman. We've got Ada Velez. That's right. Coach Ace is going to get that ring this year, baby. She's the only woman in the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies this time. So definitely we had to get her on. She'll be on Wednesday speaking in Spanish with Danny. And then Thursday, she's going to be on with Emilio and I as we chop it up with the champ, the former champ, and see exactly what she's up to now with her boxing protege. Does it sound like something you're going to watch?
I'll definitely be there.
Don't lie to me now.
I'll definitely be tuned in Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday. I'll be in.
All right. So look for us tomorrow night on DAZN, because the card here is the most valuable prospects is going to be shown on their live stream for the preliminaries. And then it goes to the DAZN app later in the evening for the main and co-main events. So make sure you check us out there. And you can also, I have to thank Box Lab as well as MVP, Most Valuable Promotions, for including Boxing PlayHouse in this great fight tomorrow night here in Orlando, Florida. You ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we're going to close out the show tonight. Again, thanks so much. We'll see you next week, or we'll see you tomorrow when we actually go to this amazing fight card. I am ready.
I'm ready. Thank you.
All right.
PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about. The Boxing PlayHouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.